welcome back. It's Lionel Yo, tech lead and partner at Westfall. Today, I'm talking about working from home. Very hot topic now with COVID-19. All these companies are announcing that they are now working from home. They've seen the reality, they've seen the light. Why the heck do we ever go down to the office? I mean, maybe office is going to be something that people talk about like dinosaurs, extinct. Now, as a tech lead managing a team of developers in the software business, let me give you my perspective about working from home and why I don't think it's a really good thing long term. So the three main points that I have discovered when working from home long term. After all, I could have done it since the beginning of time because I started out without an office and then now I have this office right here. So the first point I want to say is about momentum. Okay, remember, you're not running a bunch of people you're not running a bunch of machines, you're running a bunch of people. And like soccer teams, they have momentum. Sometimes people feel up, they're energized, sometimes they feel down, they're demotivated. So when people are demotivated, right, you need to engage them. As a leader, you need to have that presence and that energy that only happens when you're in the same room. Yes, telecommunication does help, right? Video calls and all that. I was doing it since the beginning, but nothing energizes a team like a prep talk, some sort of motivation. The same way that, back in the day, Manchester United was managed by Alex Ferguson, right? They go out, they play, they get demoralized, something happens, they come back, and the manager comes up, does a pep talk, engages people, re-rallies them. Now, you won't see motivation change working from home. It's very difficult to feel that energy, to feel that drive. People forget about what exactly they're supposed to do because they have their brain that is home and the brain that's office. So that's one problem about it. You'll start to see a drop in motivation and it's very hard to swing it back up. Without being there in person, without being there to swing that energy, it's gonna start dropping. So that's one point down there. You can't really replace that remotely. You can do a couple on Skype calls. I try to do that, but once in a while, I really need to go down and then do that motivation for these guys. The second point, right, is that people are physical, okay? So far, I haven't found a developer who's put his brain into cyberspace and he has no more body left, okay? There's no robo developer yet, no RoboCop developer. So this is the same point about being physical. So the same point that people go to gyms to work out with other people. So what you don't see, right, is the cross comparison that people are making with other people working out. You don't see them actually exerting that physical, activity. So what happens is that this starts to impact your performances. Like, let me give you a very simple point. Why do people go to yoga in a room? I mean, yoga is a very individual thing. The movements are about the same for about 3,000 years. There's no yoga 2.0. Why do they need to be in front of an instructor? Why do they need to actually be in the room and feel it? It's because people are physical. So when that doesn't happen, right, slowly by slowly, they notice a productivity drop all over the place without that physical behavior. Over time, this starts to wear down on your productivity. You're wondering what is happening. You get into a rut. That's because people are generally physical. The final point, right, is about soft points. And this is a tough one, right? Because you won't see the rot at the start. You won't see it, especially now, right? Because people are so, it's new, there's no motivation because of COVID to work from home. But when things start to get more strained and more long-term, right, you won't see things or problems emerge. Every problem usually starts, they say in the Chinese saying that a small problem leads to a large problem, and it's usually a small little tear here. You won't see that kind of stuff, so there's no soft skill acknowledgement, and there's no soft skill problem recovery. So one of the most common times that I actually stop a problem or address an issue, right, especially with productivity and people's performance, is where I meet them in person or we have a coffee or things like that. You know, people don't generally want to send you a Zoom meeting and say, hey, I have a problem. I've got a home problem. I've got a mental problem. I have problems with my family. I've got problems with my money. I mean, yes, looking at how people have been retrenched lately online, you know? They have been done over Zoom call. HR just calls you up and says, hey, you know, they're doing the good old Donald Trump, you're fired, you know? This is going to have long-term effects on people. You won't recognize problems where someone's demotivated about your company and maybe somebody else has come in and is pitching them to join somebody else. You can't pick up subtle cues. You also can't pick up cues from people both below or above you, you know. Say your customers, right? They might be having a problem nagging them and they just don't want to tell you about it because it's something that it's difficult to explain to, you know. People have communication problems. And I relate this as similar to having a long distance relationship, right? Two people, both sides of the world, and somehow just having a difficulty relating to the other person across the world, and problems starting really small and then building over a period of time until the relationship doesn't work. Now, some people say, oh, you know, if you don't put effort into it, if you want to make it work, it will work. That is true. I mean, effort will fix some issues. However, we talk about the averages and we talk about what is most likely to happen. And long distance relationships, especially the statistics on it, is very poor. So imagine having a long distance relationship with the people in your company and your company itself, and about direction. Remember, not every day it will be sunny. There will be tough times. There will be times where money looks tight. There will be tough times where you need to pivot. And all these insecurities will be there nagging on these employees. It will be triple when they're at home, they're unable to communicate. It's just so difficult, and that's gonna drive everything down. So before you subscribe to work from home is the new work 2.0, think about these issues. That's the bottom line, because the tech lead said so.